that is one thing where in previous splits, I feel like almost all of IG's drafts were just like, they were IG drafts. You knew they were going to be bad, but you knew they were going to fit IG. IG's definitely been more dynamic this split in terms of drafting, and that was something we talked about a lot in week 1. It hasn't been as cut and dry as it was in past splits, and that might come down to players like Nani being on the roster and the team being more versatile overall in what kinds of compositions they can build out, because Nani is willing and able to be that role player.
Well, we're into draft for game number 2 here, Lyric, with Viego, Xin and Karma banned away by FPX. And over to the side of IG, they get rid of the Lee Sin, they get rid of the Renekton, they get rid of a Nocturne as well. A lot of focus on denying these picks that both Nuguri and DoinB can bring out into the draft.
Yeah, so that's FPX's one adaptation. They actually banned out Nidalee in game 1 from Shu, and this time going to ban out the Viego. And wanting to take away the Akali, she does seem like the strongest mid lane pick right now, you know, barring the flexes of champions like Lee Sin and Nocturne, who have that added benefit of just being able to go into numerous lanes. And IG going to answer immediately saying, hey, we want to bring out the Diana combo. It's something they've done numerous times before. We've seen it done with a plethora of different champions in mid lane as well. We know Rookie can always default back to something like a Lucian for another AD soul laner. They brought out the Yasuo, but it didn't work quite well. But this is something that FPX were doing so much in the first few weeks, but it's actually been banned against them quite a bit, is Senna. We saw the Senna Tahm Kench come out from FPX almost every game. I remember at one point it was LWX's most played AD carry. It actually still is. Still his most played AD carry in the league, but wanting to bring out the Aphelios.
Interesting to see this from FPX and essentially saying, look, if you try and play the same way as you did in game number 1, where it's just constant pressure onto LWX and Crisp, they will be able to play weak side. They will be able to hold these towers and just chill there with the Aphelios. He's more than happy for you to play into him. And Lucas goes with that support, quote-unquote, counter pick. Depends who you ask, obviously, but the Nautilus, very often the answer into Thresh.
Yeah, I do think I would have liked the Senna come out a bit more for the side of FPX. It's still the same weak side bot lane that can survive 2v2s really well and actually wins a lot of 2v2s because of how strong like Tahm Kench is in lane, but gonna go with this hyper carry. So if the game does go later on, we know he's gonna have a lot of threat. The problem is, in game 1 we saw, it was nowhere close to getting later on. I think the game finished when LWX was only sitting on 1 item, so gonna be interesting to see, like you said, Nautilus coming out. Obviously, like you said, kind of counter depending on who you're talking to. One of the things is that, you know, when you do look for the hook, you do get more of an engage and you are tankier than the Thresh, having the shield with your W. So IG going for more of an all-in coming out and banning out top laners immediately. I think for IG here, you just take away an AD carry on 4, save your last pick for 5. It also saves that set as a flex between both mid and top.
So, I mean, I just love the fact that we look at the IG bans. There are 5 top lane bans right there. Sure, the Volibear can be played jungle. You got a couple of flexes in there, but ultimately, these are all top lane champions, in theory, that have been taken away from Nuguri by IG. As they look towards an AD carry and try and set up for a potential counter pick in the top side, or they could always save that last pick and flex something for Rookie, because the set could be top, could be in the mid lane as well. We'll have to wait and see.
Oh, actually go for it. So we need to remember, this is something that Wink can play, and IG brought this out in spring a couple of times.
I was expecting this to just be a hover. I thought they were just like referencing that he likes the Draven. I did not anticipate him locking it in, but hey, same vibe as the Kalista, right? They can do the same thing that they did in game number 1, where they play through that bottom side and try and dominate. But Tian answers with a Rumble. Now top laner needs to be picked up for FPX.
I'm just saying that the Jace would be a stock in standard Nuguri pick, but I do like this more with how their team composition works, of just having that engage pick coming out, because if they went for the Jace right, they don't have any engage. They can try and play a 4-1 kite back style with the Jace, but you have a lot of engage on the opposite side for IG. Now it's about what do they want to bring in the mid lane. Not too many mid lane mages that are in meta right now do well into Kled, because we don't really have mid lane mages, right? Something like the Syndra is something that can actually go toe-to-toe quite well with the Kled and come out with an advantage, but we see Rookie bringing out the Lucian. This will be able to look for those brawls early on. It's something we hit on that works quite well with the Diana, just bringing that mixed damage, but I actually like what FPX's comp brings against IGs, right? You have a lot of very low-range, squishy members. The Equalizer is going to do just so much to people like the Lucian and the Draven who are trying to get in range to find something. The Kled going to be able to get on top of them very easily. You have an Assassin in the top lane who is just going to murder 80 carries once he gets his Rift Maker. And then LWX in the back should just be fine because it's going to be really hard to find those flanks. It's going to be all up to Nani to set it up, either with the flank or with a flash Facebreaker to set up the Moonfall coming out from Shun.
I love how IG know exactly what they want to lock in against something like a Kled mid. Imagine being a mid laner in the LPL and having to know how to play around Kled mid as a specific pick. That's going to be something that most of the mid laners around the world really aren't that expert at, because who else plays Kled mid? This is not a pick anywhere else, but it feels like if you want to be a top team, you've got to be able to play around Nuguri's champion pool, and Rookie is one of the mid laners that has been doing it for years at this point. So definitely comfortable to go up against DoNB even with these kooky mid lane picks like the Kled. But IG poised right now for a comfortable series if they could just take another game. But it's never quite that simple against FPX. We saw in interviews from both teams now that both of these guys are coming in, looking for fights, looking for violence, knowing that you got to win the early game if you want to win this series. We'll see if IG can get themselves the twofer here and get a win on the board, or if FPX will continue their streak. And it feels like we're poised for plenty more action, Lyric.
Definitely, because both team compositions are very potent in the early game, I think in different areas. IG's comp is way more indexed into just straight up laning phases, bringing out the Lucian, bringing out the Draven, looking to do good in those isolated 1v1s and 2v2s. To where FPX's comes a lot more online when it's grouped together, once the level 6s come out and you can have the Kled engage set up for the Equalizer and then burn down multiple people. So I feel like FPX's is a bit easier in a sense that, you know, the game's always going to devolve back to, you know, fighting for dragons, fighting for heralds. Like, the opportunities for those setups will present themselves. So my question for IG is, how do you utilize that mid and bot action to try to turn that into an actionable advantage? Because you also do have a Diane in the jungle, which wants to get to that level 6 point before you're able to provide anything to your team.
Feels like the level 6 point will be a huge moment in the game for both of these teams as well. It does feel like that's just going to be a massive moment where the fights happen. I'm just looking towards the Draven, though, honestly. We get to see Wink on the Draven. It's a pick that comes out occasionally around the world. There are a select few professional players around the world that like to go for this Draven pick. You think of people like Hans Sammer in Europe. You think of people like BRTT over in Brazil. You think of people like Jackie Love and like Wink here in the LPL that are willing to bring and also Huanfeng as well, actually, a bit of a Draven player. And when we do get to see it, it always feels like a special treat. It feels like a rare, you know, when you nip into the kitchen and your parents happen to have bought a bunch of nice chocolates or something, you just get a nice little bit of a sweetness in amongst your LPL games.
Yeah, it's like when you go to a country that actually has Nando's or Nando's or however you pronounce it, and you're like, hey, you know, my country doesn't have this, at least not where I live.
Give me them chicken thighs.
Exactly. And then it's the best thing ever. That's, you know, shout out to all my other Americans out there. If you've never had it, you are missing out on actually the best chicken place in the world.
Look,
the UK and a bunch of other places in the world do it right.
I'm not trying to get a black card or anything, but Nando's, if you're looking for a partnership of some kind, hit me up. I would love to have free chicken for life. I'll do anything. Moving on, though, from a chicken obsession, I will say I'm a little bit nervous for this Kled pick, because I do feel like this Kled pick is one of those picks where, sure, we want a lot of violence, right? We want to see a lot of action. We want to see these guys go in. And I always love watching DoNB on the Kled. And sure, he got a solo kill against Rookie at the start of game number 1, but we also saw the following 5 minutes after that solo kill, where DoNB gets hyper confident and continues to just dive over and over again. And it's one of those picks that can only go one way, right? He only goes in. There's no way out of the fight again. And it's very easy for things to get out of control in the wrong direction when you're playing something like this Kled. It does feel like FPX have indexed into, we're going to do the same thing again here in game number 2. And if it goes the wrong way again, this could actually end up being a very quick series for IG.
Yeah, I feel like this game is more of a coin flip than last game was, just because of the way the two comps interact. Because in game one, just FPX's comp was a very nice, was answered very nicely by IG's comp. This time around, you have both comps where if they fall behind, they look a little bit awkward, right? I think FPX's has more leeway, you know, with the Ophelia of Sinakali coming out, and even the Equalizer will always be useful. But then you even move over to IG. It's the same story. You have a Lucian, you have a Draven, you fall behind early. What are you really able to do? Like, this game could even go the complete opposite way of game one, to where we see FPX be the team picking up like 27 kills in 20 minutes and just taking a very clean victory pretty early on. So I think there will be more action than game one, if anything, Munchables. So we're going to be really looking, I think, at the mid and bot lane in this series, which isn't too surprising, right? IG haven't put a ton of pressure on Nani's lane ever since week one. That's when they were just putting all their resources into him, seemed like they wanted to make him comfortable on stage. They were getting some wins, they were having some losses. Since then, they've tried to rediscover themselves, and seems like this is their answer. Could also just be a way to play against FPX with them maybe not looking so highly on LWX. And the fact that, let's remember Wink's career on eStar, when he was at his best, it was just eStar literally funneling everything down into his lane. So a little bit of the WE treatment of 2020 as well is like, hey, when you have a player who isn't able to consistently perform well, instead of playing around your strengths, let's go to the complete opposite. Let's prop up our weaknesses, because our strengths are good enough on their own to where, you know, they can carry the game without resources. So a bit of an interesting philosophical, I think, debate. I think usually playing to your strengths is the more optimal way, but yeah, we've seen teams in the LPL definitely do the opposite.
Well, we've got the zoom in on the logo, and that means it's time to jump into the game here for game number 2. And Lyric, I'm going to be looking to the mid lane this time around, because we've got Doan B against Rookie. It's always going to be a matchup that everyone's excited for, right? These two players, both legends within their own right, the two World Championship mid laners in the LPL. And one thing I want to talk about, because we didn't get a chance to do the graphics we prepared before this series starts, I want to look at a bit of a comparison between these two mid laners, because when it comes to laning stats, generally speaking, Rookie is beating out Doan B in terms of things like the CSD, but also one of the most important differences between these two is the jungle proximity difference, right? Rookie's second highest jungle proximity in the entire league, whereas Doan B, he's down in 13th.
And that's really surprising, right? Not only for just Doan B being down so low, I do think he is quite close to other players in the LPL. Like, it's like, you know, 0.2 or 3% difference. But for Rookie, a guy who last year we never saw get any attention from his jungle, who didn't really play for his jungler either, to be the second highest jungle proximity in LPL, I think is quite absurd, as IG already looking for these early trades, but not going to be much of anything. But I think that's just it speaks very highly to the evolution of IG, as well as Shun coming into the roster, working much better with Rookie. And even in spring, they weren't that good at it. So it was something that they improved on coming into this split.
And it feels good to see Rookie having more to work with, right? Because I think last year, a lot of people were kind of upset with the performance of IG by the end of the year, right? A lot of people believed this was a team that would go to Worlds. Like, certainly in regionals, I know most people expected it to be IG, not LGD, at the World Championship, and then it all fell apart at the end of the year. And it feels like this year, Rookie is being set up as the premium carry for the team once more, instead of having to do it all himself. And it's a good thing to look at if you're a fan of IG. As you can see, huge strength in this bottom side. It's a Draven lane. This is always the way it goes. If you can get level 2, there are basically no matchups that can try and 2v2 a Draven if he has a level advantage. Is Doan B almost getting solo killed in the mid lane.
Yeah, Rookie already showing how strong this pick is. We know Lucian always a pick to do well against bruisers. LWX, not going to need to flash, but I also want to highlight the fact that Wink went for the press the attack. Typically, you do see the Hail of Blades come out mostly. There's a bit of Conquer in there as well, but I know from watching some LDL Draven players, they like taking the press the attack. We need to remember the big difference is all the increased damage coming out after you do get the third proc for pretty much all incoming damage, so it does a lot better when trying to bring your jungle down to this lane.
Also pairs really well with the ultimate, right? You get the press the attack, and then you blast your whirling death through. TP coming out from IG as they look to dive the bot lane of FPX. They're looking for a couple of stacks onto the Draven, and why not give one over to Rookie as well? It's too beautiful from IG.
I love seeing LPL teams go for these 3.5-minute dives. It's a play you see so consistently, especially from the more tenured teams that do have more veteran players, like people like Rookie on the roster. So really nice use of their advantage mid and just being able to bring the Diana down. It was something we highlighted, right? That, hey, at some point FPX will be stronger in skirmishes, IG have stronger lanes. How do they play around this? TN, Wink's coming as well.
Oh, Tian, you're in trouble, my friend. Shun starts this one off. Wink has arrived, doing B, gets a tether in, and actually Crisp is here as well. Maybe they can answer, but there are 4 members of IG in the fight, and Wink is just free firing. He's looking for plenty more adoration in this one as the TPs come through. There's a face breaker onto 3, though. IG still looking for more. Doing B, barely surviving in the sidelines of this fight. Gets back on top of Skull, and now Nuguri on the back line. Flash forward from LWX to try and finish these kills off, but Shun surviving. LWX can't get in range to finish the kill off. Shun now just desperately kiting away from doing B, who's CC'd, and he might just get taken down. A double for Wink on the Draven, and it is 7-1 in favor of IG.
It's an absolute disaster, Munchables. FPX just got aced at 4 minutes into the game. They just all died, TP'd in, ran in one by one. We see it start off, and they're surrounded, right? Wink and Shun on one side, Lucas and Rookie on the other. It looks like, okay, they have 3 members here, but it's still a numbers disadvantage for the side of FPX. Tien gets taken incredibly low so early on. Shun is forced out of play. Top laners do come in to answer, but even doing me that time, just taking a bunch of free damage before even Crisp was able to answer in. I love that LWX flashes over and tries to follow up on these kills. We do see that he has, looks like Triumph, so able to get a bit of that heal in the end. Survives through this one, and then, I mean, Duenby's just gone. Aced at 4 minutes, Munchables. How does it happen?
And guess who got all of those kills? Guess who's absolutely massive? It's Wink. 3-0-3 on a Draven, no less. Wink has been one of the most criticized players on this IG roster. Just the bot lane in general has been massively criticized, and he wants his redemption. His Kalista in game 1 was exceptional. Now this Draven in game 2, fed beyond his wildest dreams. This is his comeback series.
I mean, hey, this might be the go-to route, right? Sure, this might be against FPX, who also have a very criticized bottom lane, but if your bottom lane's struggling so heavily, just put them in a position where they're ahead, and then, sure, those positioning mistakes can still come out, but at least their laning phase, which I think has been their worst aspect, is, you know, much propped up, kind of putting that duct tape over it, and then Wink and Lucas having that time to shine. So I like this play coming out from IG. We see that Wink's making his way towards the Essence Reaver and already setting up to get more pressure on the bottom side. But guess what? Tien's actually here this time around.
LWX, and the X stands for used to be alive. He's going to go down. Lucas tanking the tower will take another shot. He will finally go down as Tien flashes forward to get the kill. But Wink has a lot of damage. Exhaust comes through from Crisp to try and keep him alive as Shun is pulled underneath the tower. That'll be another. Oh, but Shun manages to answer it. Somehow going 1-for-1 in that situation. And IG again come out ahead of the play.
And the big thing is, FPX are the ones who utilize more resources, right? You used your Kled ultimate, Crisp actually used the flash to where Lucas was probably dead regardless in that play. Tien used the flash to be able to finish off Lucas, and IG were just able to pick up some answer kills on the exit. So I still don't think it's too bad for IG overall, despite it going 2 for 2.
And he gets a shield. Should be able to survive this one. No, he can't. That's Nuguri. What am I thinking? Of course he can't survive. Beautifully done. Perfect execution to finish it off for Naney. Feeling the wrath of Nuguri after game number 1 in that top side, and that's not going to get any easier for him. That will be the ray of hope on the top side of the map for FPX.
Yeah, and we are going to get a replay of the bottom lane skirmish. Like you said, LWX are just completely doomed here. The other members were on their way, but you have so much damage between these ones. Goes for the recall. I think he knew he was dead, right? Shun, Tien then flashing in for the kill. Like I said, having to utilize those resources to pick up these kills, to where for the side of FPX, they're just able to walk forward and get these kills. So we're going to come right back into it. FPX are the ones on Herald. It looks like IG want to contest because their members are making their way over, but they are very behind on tempo.
Yeah, I think they're just going to be too late for this one. This will be taken by Tian. And again, we already talked about the advantage that Nuguri has in his lane, but in fact, Nuguri's moved to the bottom side of the map, so it's LWX up on the top side with the IG bottom lane on the wrong side of the map. Maybe you could just herald this, or maybe they're just looking for an easier lane for a short period of time.
Yeah, so I really like this from FPX because either they just get a free lane to drop Herald in, they dodge out on the bad matchup for LWX and Chris, so they won't get punished as heavily. Sure, IG might get Dragon, but I don't think you care much about that. Or in this way, you could have this where you push in the wave, you force them to answer because they think you're staying, and then they get tempo to recall and go to the opposite side of the map.
They're doing exactly that, as you say it. The Dragon's still on the map. Nuguri recalling, doesn't have TP, but doing B's TP will be up shortly. And you can see Wink and Lucas still on the top side of the map. They're going to be walking down themselves to try and get to this Drake, but it does mean that, you know, at least there was an extra buy there for LWX. Let's be honest, item-wise is still pretty massively behind, so I don't think it'll be that dramatic. But now Wink has to return back to that top side. Can't move down. The Drake was taken by IG, but it does mean Naney has to go in a 2 versus 1 here.
We do see that Shun is making his way down, as well as Lucas looks like he's pathing towards that bottom side, so IG potentially setting up for a skirmish. Rookie does have TP. Dwinby would be able to answer, though.
Naney, you're playing with fire. You're playing with fire here, mate. As Chris face checks in, showstopper immediately from Naney, who's just played back. And the play is denied. Pulled back in, has the haymaker. Will it be enough? The moonfall comes in as well, but LWX survives for now. Shun gets 1 kill and gets out of there. Nicely done there by IG to punish FPX.
Yeah, Naney, you know, kind of baiting it a little bit, right? Didn't know that many members were there early on. Goes in, follows up with a massive haymaker, which sets up for the moonfall from Shun, which allows them to be able to find that kill onto Tien. And, you know, it's all a day's work. Rookie also able to pick up a play in the mid lane at the same time. Wink able to just chill and farm up against the colleague. Does have to be a bit careful, though, because Nuguri does have his ult up, so... Oh, God, no.
Oh, no. LWX is dead again. It's a disaster here. I mean, it's a set Nautilus lane. If you miss position against set, like, how are you ever going to escape? You don't get to click a lantern. Are you kidding me?
Oh, we get a TP coming in from Nuguri.
Nuguri arrives. Naney going to be the target. Has haymaker once more, but I don't think that's going to save him. Nuguri getting yet another kill onto Naney in this game as Lucas trying to escape. Dwinby attempted to block the anchor, I think, there, but couldn't quite get in range. Couldn't quite stop that one from happening. And Wink has arrived. Dwinby knows that's not a fight he can take anymore. And I love the way FPX are just playing around the map. Wherever Wink is not, that's where they force a fight.
The problem is that, once again, I feel like IG are the ones who get more. It's like you just got 2 kills in the bottom side of the map. You didn't really have to dedicate all too many resources. Nuguri burned his TP. You're getting free plates up at top side. Draven was just chilling, farming in mid. And everything went fine for IG. They're still ahead in terms of gold. Even with this injection of gold coming from Herald, IG's still up about, looks like 2.5 thousand. And I think they're really fine with the state of the map right now. I'd really like to see some fights start coming out from IG side. IG being the aggressors, because both your mid and AD carry are so strong right now.
Going to be trying to make some trades happen onto Rookie, but it's just not working out for him. He's not got damage at this point. He's not tanky enough either, because Rookie, he still has Gale Force. So at this point, Dwinby has got to be so careful. But Shun, he's not going to let him recall. There goes the Crescent Strike. Oh, in with the Moonfall onto the Lantern as well. But Dwinby is about to get back on top of Skull. A new health bar appears as Shun suddenly finds himself too far forward. Rookie has to back away. Tian gets the kill to punish that one.
Yeah, I think IG just getting a bit ahead of themselves, right? We were just talking about we want to see aggression from IG, but what you do at this point in time, right, you're trying to either create those numbers advantages or create those like 2v2s or 3v3s, not full on 5v5s. Push out your waves, get deep vision in their jungle, rinse and repeat, steal their camps away, and look for fights and picks that way. Shun thinking he had enough bursts to take that one is... No death sentence going to be landed. Lucas and Rookie going to be able to get away, but this should be a turret for the side of FPX. Oh, wait, no way.
Potentially.
I'm way
I don't
ahead
know.
of
There's
myself,
3
Much
plates. I think you're perhaps overestimating how strong Iron Spike Whip is on that one.
If this was 55 seconds in the future, potentially.
Yeah, I could see it. I could see it. But Nani gets the answer on the bottom side as well and has easier plates to hit at as well. So the cannon should be able to finish that plate off, give him the gold over. Very cheeky. So Nani will walk away with that one. And actually, to celebrate Halo Infinite coming out, we've even got a Spartan on the map, as Lucas is going to be the Master Chief. 117 on the scoreboard right now. And he's looking pretty good on this Nautilus pick as well. I have to say, Lucas in this series in general, the Taric looked really good, but also just not even the picks and the mechanics. Like, where Lucas is on the map, it feels like he's always in the right place right now.
I mean, Lucas's big weakness is his laning phase, right? That's where I feel like IG's bot lane is easily able to be criticized. I definitely think both AD carries also have problems when it comes to mid game, but Lucas overall I think has been solid. He was very visually, easily the best option when it comes to support for the team of IG.
Certainly feels that way, and it's looking that way in this series, but the gold gap does feel like it's shrinking a little bit here. Just 2,000 now for IG when it was 3,000 a couple of minutes ago, but still enough of a gap that when Draven is around, they can do whatever they want. They'll take themselves a Drake. That'll be their second of the game. And well, we are 55 seconds into the future now, Lyric, and Doodby desperately trying to finish that tower off that we talked about before. In the meantime, IG move towards this mid lane. They should be able to trade it for a tier 1, and you've got to believe that that mid lane tower is so much more valuable.
Yeah, and they're going to be able to get Rift Herald off it as well, right? You just overload the mid lane, force yourself prio, go towards Herald. You're going to have members of FPX up on the side of the map, but they just saw Doonby visible that he was low, so you'd expect they shouldn't be looking for a contest. Does look like FPX wants to threaten it, though, but kind of funnily enough, it's a bit of a bluff, right? Sure, Doonby is ultimate, but it doesn't actually have TP to be able to follow up on the play. It seems like IG don't want to risk it, though, just from the fact that Nani doesn't have TP himself, so Nuggery would be able to get there first.
That's the thing. Nuggery was moving, had to push in the bot side. Nani doesn't have TP, but Nani's moved up now as well. Tian gets the smite on the Herald, but the eye sat in the pit. How much are FPX able to force this one? Equalizer onto 2, forces Wink out of the play entirely. It's going to be a huge jump in from Nani. The Haymaker flashes away from it. I'm not sure if anyone got the Herald. I think Tian did get it in the end.
Yep.
And you know what? No kills is perfectly fine for FPX. They got the objective.
Yeah, Tien just using the chaos of the fight to just casually walk up, take the Herald, and start walking back away. I like Nani trying to find the flash Haymaker, but Tien flashing the complete opposite way, so it's not able to land. I think we also saw the pitfalls that IG could face later on with, you know, the equalizer coming out once it does more damage, right? Because we just saw so many squishy members of IG burning away both Link and Shun, being taken down quite low, quite fast. But IG still are the ones with the gold lead. We get another banger soul coming out, another infernal soul coming out onto the Rift. For people like Draven and Lucian, you are going to absolutely love this one, but now our eyes are on FPX.
We just get Infernal Souls today. Like, every single game we've had today has been Infernal or Ocean Soul. Both souls that are, like, so contestable. I feel like we've been very lucky in the Drakes we've had for the matchups that we've had that it forces these fights constantly. Today's been an absolute treat, Larry. Here we go. Yeah, Rookie's in trouble. Ulti's coming across. Rookie is just burning inside his smoke. And, you know, in CSGO, smoke might put fire out, but not here in League of Legends. He's going to go down. He's trying to play the wrong game for now. Is this going to be another kill for FPX? Now, Herald dropped into the bottom lane as well. That should be a tier 2 taken. And FPX, they're catching up to IG here. Look at the gold difference. It's going to shrink with this tower going down. And sure, Wink is still very strong. But again, FPX find a play wherever Wink isn't playing.
And at the same time, FPX's comp just has such an easy way of getting onto IG's carries. And we haven't seen it in team fights just yet because of the early advantage IG got, right? Like, you can't judge comps in a game when a team aces you at 4 minutes. Like, the game is not going to go standard of how it could have or should have gone. But now we're getting to a point with gold becoming a bit more normalized. It's like, hey, we saw right there, right? You drop Equalizer, and then Akali is just able to traverse so much distance so easily. Both Rookie and Wink are going to be under so much threat pretty much all game long. A lot of this is going to be up to Nani for finding those big face breakers and comboing that with the Moonfall to where hopefully you can chunk members low enough or keep the distance from Rookie and Wink being able to be threatened.
And it's a shame that it doesn't feel like there's anyone on the side of FPX that could build a Serpent's Fang this game. But imagine if this was like a Lethality Varus instead of the Aphelios. If you had a Serpent's Fang to stop Nani being able to be as tanky and as big of a threat in these fights, that could really be the beautiful piece on top of the cake here from FPX. They're just going to be trying to neutralize things. And it does feel like the slower this game goes, the better it feels for FPX, right? Where when they've been able to slow things down, control, play macro, that's where one of the biggest strengths of FPX has always lied, right? Where they're playing around the map so beautifully. That's what we've seen over the last couple of minutes. But the faster the game is, the more action, the more IG will shine.
I also want to highlight the fact that Wink went for the Eclipse. This is not an item I've seen on Draven at all. Even when you see lethality items come out, typically you'll either see Prowler's Claw come out as your mythic, or you'll still see the standard Immortal Shield Bow, and you'll just go for
or Duskblade as well. I've seen a reasonable amount of Duskblade on Draven.
True, Duskblade is another, or you'll see the Collector come out as just, you know, another legendary item. So definitely Wink having his own idea of how this should go. Gonna have the, you know, what is it, the max HP damage on that one, as well as some movement speed, so it does give a lot of interesting things with that one.
And I think it kind of tells a tale, right, of he's not going towards the crit this time, where the Collector into Infinity Edge would allow you to go for the 60% crit. Here we go, though. Forget about crit. We've got a Dragon on our hands. IG, this would be their third if they can get it. But LWX going to be able to get onto Lucas here to start us off. Flashes out the backside of the fight. Is doing B, threatening Wink, trying to stop him getting into the skirmish. But if Wink can free fire, you've got to believe that IG can take the fight for themselves. Nuguri threatening the backline here. Equalizer comes in. Nani into the middle of everyone. It's a good base breaker. But the follow-up isn't there. And FPX, they're managing to take the fight. It's Nuguri on the backside just threatening, stopping Wink from playing the game. And it means that FPX get the Drake.
I actually thought that IG would be able to pull it through. We saw the combo come out from Set Diana, but like you highlighted, Nuguri just zoning them off the whole time. The other three members not able to follow up. The equalizer as well, right? If any members of IG went to follow up, they'd have to be like willing to take damage. They would go down. They would lose out. And those are the skirmishing setups and the team fight formations where FPX are going to be able to win out in the long run. We're going to see how it starts off, to where Lucas and Rookie trying to zone out Nuguri, trying to keep threat off of their backline members. Really good ultimate coming out from Shun. A ton of damage from Nani as well, but without your consistent DPS able to get in there, it's all for nothing.
Beautiful stuff coming out from FPX. I mean, LWX is having a terrible game, but ultimately it doesn't matter because there is so much threat from Nuguri, so much damage coming out from Tien. All LWX has to do is survive as long as he can, get his turrets out, press Q a bunch of times with whichever weapons he's got, and just be enough of a threat that IG have to die for, right? So long as he can pull that off, it's possible for FPX to still win these fights out. And IG, they still have this gold lead, but it doesn't feel even remotely as convincing as it did earlier on in this game. Remember, IG aced FPX at like 5 minutes into the game. Like, that is absolutely crazy to think about, the fact that FPX even exist in this game right now, 21 minutes in. And honestly, at this point, I'm feeling like FPX have an advantage. Wink has not been able to do anything in a fight for a good 10 minutes. He's been 4-0-4 for well over 10 minutes at this point.
I mean, the whole top side of FPX's comp can zone you out, right? Rumble with Equalizer, or just Duinbi and Nuguri. They don't even need to go in. If they just stand in front of you and threaten like they're going in, you need to respect. You can't walk forward. You can't deal damage. So it will be quite tough. I still don't think it is impossible because they still do have that bit of a lead, but you're kind of hoping for the over-aggression to come out from FPX like it did in Game 1 and like it did at 4 minutes. So it's definitely not impossible, not unrealistic by any means, but at some point in time, FPX do just come into you and you're set up well to deal all that damage.
Nuguri and Nani in a 1v1. Health bar low, shield about to time out, but the Moonfall finishes off Nuguri here. Going well so far for IG as Tian just has to take the lantern out of that one. The Thresh Express to safety. IG find themselves a pick onto the strongest member of FPX. And Lyric, I think that might just open up the Baron.
I think even more importantly as well, you blew so many ultimates from FPX. No equalizer, no ultimate on the Kled either, so they have a much harder time of just running into your composition.
Oh, but they found Rookie. He gets out. The exhaust not enough to lock him down, and Tian instead will be the one to fall. Jungler down for FPX and IG. After minutes and minutes of FPX controlling the game, they're back on top. They start the Baron once more. TP from FPX as they are desperate to hold on to this game. Good damage out from LWX, trying to throw things into the pit. In goes B to cause chaos in the middle of everyone. Lucas the first one to fall. Naney should go down as well. That's 2 for FPX as they find Shun as well, but the Baron goes down in favor of IG. Rookie and Wink against the world here. 2v1 as Wink's taken down to the back of the pit. Rookie over the wall as well, but B shuts him down, and it's a triple kill for Nuguri. FPX make it happen 4v5.
And FPX are not willing to go down in this series. IG think they can do it. They commit everything towards the Baron, but guess what? Nuguri's back up. He's able to TP in. And IG, they just wanted to commit, right? We didn't see the initial turn come out. They wanted to burn down that Baron, and they got punished.
Unbelievable play coming out from FPX, and look how well they play it. Look how much they stay at range until the perfect moment.
Yeah, and you even see on the opposite side of the pit, right? Like Shun and Wink trying to navigate such an awkward situation. Then you get into this position where Wink and Rookie are split. Wink is quite low, and he can't just kite out that situation by himself. Dwinby following up with the flash, and this game is just toe-to-toe. It's totally even on both sides. And let's remember that situation started with Nuguri going down. Started off with a free kill over to the side of IG, and somehow FPX are still able to come out, you know, with the win in the end.
Lyric, he's a genius. He's clairvoyant. He saw the future. He was like, if I can kill myself here, then they'll think they can do Baron. I can TP in and get a triple kill. Nuguri's just, he's on a different level. Forget Nuguri, though, because we've got a Drake coming up. In fact, don't forget Nuguri if you're an IG fan, because he is your bane in this fight. IG trying to posture as a group, trying to threaten onto LWX, but look where Dwinby is. Rookie has been found. Dwinby wants a bit of revenge for the laning phase, but he's going to be 1v5 here. Can he finish the kill off anyway? Turns into his dismounted form. The rest of the team now following up. Showstopper to take 1 kill. Shun keeps himself safe with the Zhonyas. Nuguri can't find his way in this fight. Goes back in, has the Shroud, getting some good damage down. And FPX still maintaining their position, but with a TP coming through from, I think it's Rookie. Surely you believe. IG will get back onto the Drake here. This would be their 3rd Drake of the game. Tian does have the smite available, but can't contest. And IG win the day.
Really nice patience coming out from IG on that one with the Dragon, right? They aren't just trying to burn it down as fast as possible. They wait for the key abilities from FPX to come out. They pull it out from the pit, and they realize, hey, this is going to be our... Now they are on Soul Point. They even had Naney recon. They didn't throw his TP in until they needed to, so they didn't actually even end up using it in the end, but we are going to see here in the replay. Dwinby thinks he finds an angle, comes in for the flank, but this is what we talked about with the over-aggression that IG's hoping for, right? He leaves himself isolated to get picked off. Rookie even survives this in the end. We see the ultimates coming out to keep the rest of the members of FPX at bay, and then you just wait for Rookie to recall, bring in the TP, and the objective is yours.
Now, one important thing I do want to mention is, obviously, when we look at the difference between AD carries, still massively in favor of Wink. He's got 3 items at this point. He's even got a Hex Trinket to try and survive the damage that Nuguri and Tian are throwing his way. But LWX does now have 2 items. When he finishes an Infinity Edge as a 3rd item, he will become a champion. There will actually be an AD carry on the side of FPX, so the teamfight presence will increase dramatically over the next sort of 10 minutes here for FPX. But for IG, it feels like they are spiking exceptionally hard. These next few minutes are where IG can close things out with this Draven pick from Wink.
I agree, but even that last fight, right? That wasn't even really a team fight. I feel like we're at a point in time where FPX do win 5v5s if they're able to find them. IG's done a nice job, though, of baiting out a lot of the abilities of FPX. And FPX has been quite trigger happy to use them to find the fights and picks they need. Because if we get into a situation where Equalizer's used, the Kled charges in, and then you have a situation where you aren't able to connect, well, now IG do have an opportunity where they can use objectives to bait fights.
It's a tough one to call. And FPX, you know, as you said, quite trigger happy on just forcing these engages. I mean, we saw it in game number 1 as well. DoNB just forcing the dive onto Rookie at about 5 minutes, but it was a 3v3, so wasn't able to pull it off after earlier on in the game it went so well for him. But again, Wink having the game of his life here. And I want to retract something I said earlier on. I was saying with the Eclipse, he can't go for a crit build, but actually, because of Lord Dom's having the crit, because he's able to get the crit from the Essence Reaver as well, can still go for an Infinity Edge and still have still be an AD carry that has late game presence. He's not just indexing into full lethality here.
Yep, so still going to be able to be a massive damage dealer. And the fact you also have Lucian as well, right? So Rookie's going to be dealing a significant amount of DPS. IG's comp is a decent amount of like burst and DPS mixed together with the double front line. So a pretty traditional team fighting comp.
Rookie's gone in, and look at Sean diving onto everyone. LPX is doomed as he flashes out, but he's ignited and finished off in the end by Lucas. And FPX, that is not the moment to get caught out. Baron up in 30 seconds, but IG looking towards the mid lane. Instead, they want a little bit more from this one. No equalizer available. And you gotta believe that means FPX cannot fight this one. They have no wave clear whatsoever. They have no way to stop the siege happening unless they can just brute force a fight, but I'm not sure that they can win a fight at this point in the game. IG can keep this up all day long now as the tower, just a single auto from being taken.
Yep, if Wink had a little bit more confidence, it would have gone down, but I really like the way that IG played that last sequence. We see them hovering towards the topside river. They know FPX is pushing in the lane mid, and they're just extremely decisive, right? DoNB's the one who walks into the river. They kind of chase him down a little bit, and Shun finds the opportunity to go for the dive onto LWX. We saw Lucas flash in as well, and just incredibly decisive play coming out from an unexpected FPX. Now FPX though going to be able to get vision control on this Baron and actually going to force this one out. They do see Nani on the bottom lane, so a bit surprised they don't commit, at least maybe try to force out his TP, but they do have engage tools up. Nani does have his flash, so could always go for a flash face break or just flash straight into a showstopper play. FPX definitely not confident with that one with the kind of lead that IG have. IG though are happy to not fight for the next, you know, few seconds from the fact that get your resets out. Dragon's coming up in 30. If you can guarantee yourself that soul, I feel like IG will be able to bring home the W.
I mean, you thought that Draven was scary before. Imagine it with an Infernal Soul. That's not something that FPX want to have to deal with. They're going to have to fight for this Drake that's coming up. It's 14-17. I did not expect FPX to hold on as well as they have across the course of this game after the lead that IG got for themselves. But here we go. Massive fight about to kick off. There's already a skirmish towards the top side. DoNB and Nani, two tanky boys just duking it out. A couple of hooks come out onto Lucas here. Does have the stopwatch, I believe, to keep himself safe. And neither team really fully committing on the engage.
No, we do see DoNB's ult though.
The re-engage comes through. It's a burning onto Wink on the backside as well. He can't get into the fight. Now rejoins everyone. Nuguri across the team. Huge damage, but he doesn't have enough to finish anyone off. DoNB will go down. Beautiful hook from Lucas to stop Nuguri playing the game. And Nani chasing down onto Crisp. Thresh is meant to be the tormentor, but he's being tormented across the course of this one as Rookie looks to chase him into the base. The tower will fall, and Lyric, I think they've done it. I think IG have made the upset happen.
I actually can't believe this. IG have looked so disconnected, but they're bringing it together, and they're actually taking down FPX.
FPX supposedly a top team in the LPL, but IG come in 2-4 and managed to smash them 2-0. An unbelievable win for Rookie and the boys. And you gotta believe the IG fans all over the world are gonna be celebrating tonight.
Man, Shun to me was so massive. Shun's moonfalls in that game consistently either hitting key targets or hitting, you know, 2 to 3 members, locking people down, buying space for his AD carries, and it was just so nice to see. On the reverse side, I can understand why Rumble is falling out of favor in the LPL because we do not see teams able to, you know, set up those like prime equalizers like pretty much ever. We've seen a few junglers able to do it, or when you find those fights in chokes, but it doesn't feel like just a jungler thing either. Like enemy teams have gotten more used to playing around it, and then once the equalizer comes out right, you just disengage that fight, look for a re-engage, and that was something we saw FPX kind of getting exploited with, was IG would force them or put them in positions where they wanted to use those tools, bait those out, go for the re-engage, set up your Diana for a prime ultimate, Wink and Rookie free hitting on the back line, and it was just nice to see IG with a really good win here today, and it's through propping up their bot lane and abusing LWX and Crisp.
Yeah, I mean, abusing is definitely the correct word, especially in game number 2 after what happened there. And LWX especially really feeling the pain of that. I think it was like 0-7 towards the end of the game. But Wink especially really having a good performance on this Draven, able to output so much damage in each and every one of these fights. And sure, I know a lot of people don't like to talk about AD carries and don't like to give them credit, but it does take a skilled AD carry to be able to play Draven effectively, especially in a professional game. Like, I think one of the things people always forget about Draven is that you have to walk in certain directions because your axes are going to fall. If you're a pro player and you have CC abilities, it's very easy to punish a Draven player. Wink played very well, choosing the correct axes to catch and being able to position in these fights. And the one fight where we saw him die was inside the Baron pit, where you literally have no choice but to be stuck in one place. You can't reposition. So I think Wink's positioning has been one of the things that's been criticized most about him as a player across the course of this year. So I do want to acknowledge the fact that in this game, he played it very well.
I mean, you know, just to contrast, like, and this is going to sound negative, but just to show, like this series was great, right? In the last series, he was, you know, eating away from his team on Ezreal over a wall and getting picked off. This game, he's on champions like Draven, where you don't have that same amount of safety as something like an Ezreal, and he's, you know, really positioning well. The Kalista as well. Again, there was that one team fight in game 1 where we didn't get the replay of at least his, like, dodge, but was, like, dodging out skill shots, kiting back enemies really nicely, and again, it was against FPX, but maybe this is what you try to build around going forward. Maybe prop up your bot lane's laning phase, get them into a position where they have an advantage, and everyone knows it from their own games. Pros have talked about in interviews. The game just becomes a lot easier to play out when you're ahead. Your tree of decision making becomes much easier when you're ahead of, like, okay, well, these lanes push. Since these lanes push, we now have so many options. Can we contest scuttles? Can we go for invades? Can we go for ganks? Can we, you know, go for TP plays? Like, it's just so much easier to do, and you're gonna see here Wink dealing a ton of damage. And we need to bring it up one more time. The fact that all 5 members of FPX were killed by 4 minutes still blows me away.
Yeah, that was just mental. And I mean, when you look at the damage chart, the fact that LWX less than 10k damage is truly the story of this game, right? Because when you look at this composition, where does the late game damage come from if Aphelios doesn't exist, right? Because Rumble is basically just totally reliant on the equalizer. And sure, Nuguri will do a lot, but you can't 1v5 completely, especially when they've got a Set and a Nautilus on the enemy team to lock you down. There's very little Akali can do there if she's the only damage dealer. So it felt like compositionally, it was fine on paper for FPX if the Aphelios exists, but IG played around that fact, completely shut LWX out of the game, and it meant in these fights, FPX just couldn't finish off the health bars.
Yeah, and another underlooked aspect of it was just, right, like, just how well they were zoning and playing around vision in general. The zoning of Nuguri, like, I'd say keeping Doinby at arm's length, but it's like Doinby would just run in before his team every time, so it was kind of easy to keep, like, the others at arm's length while you just focused him down. And yeah, this goes back to that question, at least for FPX, of when Doinby isn't the one who's able to have that stellar early game lead and you transition that into making plays around the map, they just don't look quite the same. And we now have another series where their bot lane is definitely going to be under a microscope and heavily criticized.
Yeah. And I do think as well that for FPX, like, I love the Kled pick. I think it's really fun. I enjoy watching it as a spectator. But ultimately, with the way this roster is shaping out right now, I think that Doinby has to be your carry. And Kled is not the champion that he's going to solo carry a game on. So I'd love to see more of things like the Akali going towards that mid lane.
At least depends on the composition, right? Depends on what the enemy drafts.
But I guess the point I'm trying to put across here is more that I'd rather have LWX on utility, things like the Varus, for example, that can set Doinby up and let Doinby be the centerpiece of the team, as well as Nuguri. I think Nuguri played very well in this series. Let's talk about IG, though, because the MVP of this one is going to go to Shun in the jungle, and I think rightly so. I think he was a good argument for the MVP in game number 1 of this series as well. I think Shun has leveled up coming into the split. He was a hyped up rookie coming into the first split of this year. We were excited to see how he would develop alongside rookie, and it feels like he is really coming into his own.
I mean, Shun is one of my favorite junglers to watch this split. He's, definitely one of the best junglers in my mind. Even in IG games where everything goes wrong, it feels like he is always a member who's like consistently having a good performance. So it's really nice to see him be able to pick up this MVP. Like I said, his ults this game were absolutely massive and game-changing. They almost always find his way onto LWX, or if it wasn't on LWX, he'd be locking down numerous members. So it'd be like Crisp, Tien, and Nuggery caught up in his ultimate. It's like, man, he's just doing so much work for his team. And this kind of brings the conversation to Diana in general, right? I feel like our meta has quickly moved to where Diana and Xin Zhao are our highest priority junglers when they're stylistically very different. Xin Zhao bringing a lot of options, being good in early skirmishes, also can pivot into like a late game disengaged champion. And then Diana, like, it's just so you don't rely on as much setup as other champions. You can get yourself in the fight and find that massive play.
Yeah, I mean, we saw that firsthand from Shun in this series. Really, really exciting jungle meta right now, and it does feel like Diana is the centerpiece. We're going to head over to the stage, though, because Wendy is standing by, and we have, I think, one of the most exciting players out of that one, Wink, ready for an interview.
Hello everyone, welcome to interview, and now I'm standing by with Wink from Invictus Gaming. So congratulations on today's win and facing your old rival FPX. Invictus Gaming, you guys have shown us a lot of new stuff today, so share us more about the team's preparations and adjustments before this best of 3. 那首先恭喜你们，今天是很漂亮2-0击败了你们的老对手 FunPlus 嘛。而且我们感觉今天 IG 好像给我们带来了很多全新的东西，所以说在这个 BO 赛开始之前，你们有进行哪些准备和队伍上的一个调整呢？
就比赛开始前的，就昨晚嘛，昨晚的话是准备了比较长的时间，然后去研究怎么 BP 吧，还有今天的战术怎么打，大概就这样吧。
So yesterday we focused a lot on the ban pick strategies that we would like to use for today's game, and also we focus more about the in-game tactics and also the in-game content. So basically these are the preparations we made for this best of 3, and definitely you guys have shown a super good performance. So let's talk a bit more about the game 1, because you have chosen the Kalista and also Taric this Badu. Recently in LEC, Fnatic have shown this Badu as well and have a very good result, and today in both the laning phase and team fights, you guys play a very significant role. So tell us more about how to maximize this Badu strength. 那说到第一局的话，你们也是选出了卡莉斯塔和宝石这样的一个下路组合嘛？其实最近像 LEC 他们也有选出像这样的一个下路组合，也有很好的效果。那今天你们也是无论是对线啊还是团战都打得很好，所以说能不能和我们分享怎么样才能够最大化的发挥这个下路组合的一个长处呢？
我觉得这个下路组合的话，就需要队友多靠吧。然后因为这个组合对线也比较容易打出优势。 就多帮下路越塔的话，这个组合就能一直滚雪球。
I think for this Badu with Kalista and Taric, it really needs the help from other teammates because it's very easy for this Badu to establish a huge lead from the laning phase. So if the teammates can help us to make so many bot tower dive, it's very easy for us to open the situation from the Badu and just win the game. And also in game 2, you have picked this Driven. Definitely it's not that hot pick in the current meta. So what's the reason behind this? And you guys have shown us so many impressive skirmishers from the very early game in game 2. So tell us more about the early game tactics from you guys. 那第二局的话，你也是非常果断的选出了自己的那个德莱文嘛。这个英雄当然就在现在的赛场上并不是一个常见的选择，所以说今天选出他的契机是什么呢？而且感觉你们前期也是一直围绕着下半区，然后有很多很漂亮的一些小规模团战，所以说你们前期是怎么样利用它来打开节奏的呢？
因为德莱文加泰坦打越南锤师的话，也是对线比较优吧，就可能一直打架，然后队友一直帮德莱文滚雪球的话，就很容易德莱文太肥，然后终结比赛。
So it feels like for Driven and together with Nautilus, this can be a very good counter pick against Aphelios and Thresh. And also we can have some leads in the laning phase. So with the help of my teammates, it's super easy for us to snowballing toward the end and just have a very clean victory. But I feels like in game 2 in the mid game, because FPX, they have a very engaging compositions. So it can be a bit hard for you guys to further enlarge the goal differential. So how's the mid to late game communication from you guys to in order to win game 2? 但我们也同时感觉好像，因为对面他们有一个比较冲阵的一个阵容嘛，感觉中期好像也给你们造成了一些小小的麻烦，就感觉好像没有那么很快的能够滚大经济的雪球。所以说，那你们是怎么在中后期来进行一个沟通和处理，然后最后非常干净利落的拿下胜利的呢？
就他们虽然是冲连阵，但我们前期优势比较大，一直控到小龙的话，就我们正常慢慢打控4龙，让他们比较急吧，然后就主动开团，然后他们因为比较急的话，开团也会乱开团，所以我们就比较容易打赢团战。
So although they have a very engaging conversations, but we try to control all the dragons, and also if we just got the dragon soul, so the pressure will be at the FPX, so they may be so rushed and try to make so many hard engages. So with that, we can just easily punish their mistakes and try to win the game with that. And definitely you guys have shown a very perfect best of 3, so congratulations again. 那再次恭喜你们，也希望我们小 IG 后面也能越打越好。And back to you guys. Bye bye.